Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPaWrites here once again, and today I've got another episode of The Writer's Thoughts. This is your favorite podcast where we talk about all the geeky gaming, streaming, superhero news that you know and love, and so do I. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. And yeah, the support lately has been amazing. Make sure you're hitting that like button, you're hitting that heart button, favorite, subscribe on whatever platform you're on. We're on Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, all those kind of great apps. So make sure that you're subscribed, you're downloading the episodes. It helps me out tremendously and shows that you want to see more. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into it, and we have a very awesome guest today, and it is IamTeebot. How you doing, my friend? How is life?
Yo, JoPaWrites, thanks for the intro, man. I'm doing good. And I'm not trying to correct you, but actually, the T-Bot's not around anymore, so you can just call me Jordan.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So, little backstory for those who don't know. I've known T-Bot Jordan for a long time now. We met in person at Guardian Con. We've been longtime friends, and he's going through a bit of a transition with his content. So if I call him T-Bot a little bit, that's why I've known him for so long as that. But yeah, Jordan, I wasn't sure what to go with, but I'm glad we can start you off on the right path and let everyone know where they can find you. Where are your socials? What are you creating content-wise in the future? All that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, man. So right now, like the only social that I'm really using is Twitter. So you can find me there is at OffRoadJordan, Jordan. And yeah, I just sort of post when I want to. So we're working on a rebrand, or I guess I'm rebranding myself, if you want to look at it that way. So there's going to be some new stuff coming. Right now, I'm not really creating content. I'm just developing content right now. Working with some other people, actually helping them develop some content as well. I'm finding out I'm better at developing content and helping people with ideas and not just my own. So that's been fun. And yeah, just honestly taking some time off. I haven't been working. I'm a bum, and yeah, but you know, I've been looking for new jobs and new opportunities as well. So that's been taking up a lot of my time. So
I got you. Yeah.
yeah, that's me.
The behind the scenes stuff is so interesting because I feel like everyone talks about content creation as like, oh, you just kind of wing it. You just go and you make content. You play a video game, content just kind of generally happens. But there's a lot more that goes behind the scenes than I think most people realize, especially at the higher levels of content creation. Once you start to get really consistent with the games that you're playing, the content you're creating, not only for like Twitch, but YouTube or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, all those kind of things that we're seeing more and more of these days, it really takes a lot of behind the scenes. So that it's very interesting that you say that, because I think that's absolutely vital, and there's a lot of people that could use more help behind the scenes with that stuff as well.
Yeah, and it goes. There's different ways to look at it, right? And everyone sort of approaches content in a different manner, which is great. Which is why everyone's content feels unique to at least to some degree. But yeah, I think a lot of people they do underestimate the amount of work that needs to be put in, and also they underestimate the amount of work that should be put in.
Yep.
And then also there tends to be a lot of not understanding what type of work they should be putting in or need to be putting in. So it's like a whole mix of things. And I've always been good at that, which is, you know, I'm going to pat myself on the back, even though I'm not like a huge name. I'm not like a partnered streamer or anything. Yeah, I know. I've actually found that I actually understand what goes into it and how to make yourself like a successful creator. My problem has always been, I'll just, you know, be honest with myself, I just haven't had that time and energy to put into it until maybe recently. But you know, I've sort of had to step back and be like, do I want to be a content creator or do I want to be doing other things? So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and it makes absolute sense, because there's a lot of things you can look at within the content creation sphere that being live yourself all the time and having to juggle so many things can be so stressful, right? So learning to find where you're going to be happiest and having the most success is absolutely important. I mean, me personally, I do a lot, but I found that I almost enjoy the pacing of YouTube content creation to be more enjoyable than just hitting the go live button all the time on Twitch, because I can really adjust my entire day, my entire week around that, and schedule the time to make videos and whatever the case may be. And then once I'm done with that, then I'm good. Whereas Twitch is such a rat race of like, if I'm not live, am I missing raids? Am I missing subs? Am I missing bits? You know what I'm saying? So I think even in your example, as you possibly dip back into content creation, finding out, okay, where's your energy best spent is something that more people need to kind of lean into.
Yeah, and that all plays into like what kind of content you're making. You know, where should your energy be spent is based on where your audience is, right? So your audience or your target audience, ideal audience, however you view that, that's based on your brand and your brand story, who you're speaking to. So you got to figure out all that, really, at least have a good solid understanding of all that before you really even start to focus a lot more on platforms, you know, like your small platforms, social media, and your large platforms like YouTube, Twitch, and such. So, I mean, it's all that type of stuff, which I've always known that, but I just recently, over the last several weeks and months, I've met people that think the same way, and I've sort of started to realize that I've always had the right idea. I just have been bombarded with so many wrong ways to do it that I thought I was wrong, and I was like, maybe I'm not right. Maybe the idea that I had in my mind about how to go about doing this is wrong. But in reality, a lot of people don't do it very well and aren't doing it right and aren't taking the right approach, and that's why they're not doing that well. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I did have the right idea. So I'm actually stepping back and sort of, I'm not learning. I'm actually trying to unlearn things that I thought maybe I were right, but turned out were wrong. And I'm like, okay, I got to go back to the way I was originally approaching things, because that's actually probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, there's so much bad generic advice out there. Not only that, but there's so many people who will just talk a lot, but the information they're giving is just like nonsense. And so you see all of that and you're like, oh, I'll try this. And eventually you're trying so many different things that you've diluted the effectiveness of what you should be doing. And surrounding yourself with the right people, like you were saying before, is absolutely vital as well. Because too often you're surrounded by people who are like, we'll watch you no matter what game you play. We'll do, but that's not helpful in the long run. We'll support your content no matter what you put out. That's not really actually how it works at all with most viewers. But because you get in like an echo chamber on Twitter or something, or a place like that, or in Discord, you're constantly kind of reinforces some of those negative aspects that you're putting forth. And stepping back, getting with people who maybe challenge you or show you that, okay, what I was doing right is smart, but I was kind of reducing the effectiveness because I was doing all these other wrong things, like you were saying.
Yeah, I'm going to sort of do devil's advocate and argue with you a little bit there, because the type of audience that you're talking about, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. And I'm not saying that you were saying that, but just in case what you were saying may be misconstrued by people listening, that type of audience is fine. But I agree with what you're saying. I think this is what you were saying, so let me know if I'm wrong, is that type of audience isn't helpful in growing and being constructive. Like that type of audience, those are like your friends. They like you for who you are.
Exactly.
And that's great. But if you're crafting your brand and your content with intent, then you have a target audience, and the purpose of that intentful content is typically, at least a portion of it, is to provide some value to them. So that target audience needs to be getting value in order to stay with you. And that's sometimes we see that a lot I'm fumbling my words here, but we see that a lot in the gaming communities, right?
Yeah.
The Twitch streamers, the Destiny streamers that go and play a different game, and all of a sudden, like half of their viewership dies off while they're playing another game, you know, because that's not their target audience, and their target audience likes them to play Destiny. They come for Destiny. There's nothing wrong with that. But you know, like, just to clarify my understanding of what you were saying, I thought I'd just add that in there. That type of audience that was there for you no matter what is great, but that's not what you should be aiming for. And it feels counterintuitive, but you want to be intentful with how you craft your content towards a specific type of audience so that you provide value to them so that they engage. And when they are truly engaged and are finding value in that, that's the type of audience that will help you truly grow as a content creator.
No, you're exactly right. And again, those people are fantastic. You obviously can't do a whole lot without your diehard supporters. My point was definitely that when you're taking a step back and you're looking objectively at your content and how you can make it better and improve it, and which games are going to possibly provide the most entertainment, because there's so many variables, right? Like if you're playing a multiplayer game but you're playing by yourself, you probably project a different energy than if you're playing a multiplayer with your friends, or if you're playing a multiplayer game that your friends hate and they're frustrated at it the whole time. Now, even though you're playing a similar thing, you're playing multiplayer with your friends, the content is just going to be different. And that's where taking a step back and understanding that those folks who are going to support you regardless are the base. You also have to understand that when you're trying to grow and trying to learn new things, they're not going to be the most objective people, and that's really what I was trying to say, is not that they're a detriment to where you're trying to go, but just that they're not going to be as helpful when you're trying to learn what new viewers might want to see.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that was a tangent that I wasn't expecting to get on, but I really like that side of content creation more than that doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. I love that there's depth to it that people just don't talk about, and I want more of that in the industry for sure. And hopefully, between the two of us, we can start doing more of that as well.
Yeah, well, there's a stigma against it because it sort of feels like coaching. And if you've been in the content creation, biz or industry or whatever we want to call it long enough, you start to realize that there's not, I don't know if stigma is the right word, but people sort of frown upon those that are, looking for coaches or looking for help. But they'll, a lot of people when they start off, they have no problem promoting follow for follow and other practices that get you nowhere. It's like, why would you go waste all of your time with follow for follow when, there could be someone out there. Yeah, you have to pay them because this information is valuable, especially when it's crafted for you, custom coaching. And people don't think of coaching as being custom all the time, but a lot of coaching is. It's customized to your experience, yourself, your personality, etc. What's wrong with that? Especially if someone is legitimately serious about creating content.
Yeah. No,
it blows my mind that people frown upon that.
Well, I think part of the frustration comes in that there's a lot of free resources out there, right? That people
for sure.
don't take advantage of probably enough. But again, that like you said, that's not custom. The other issue is that the pricing oftentimes of the coaching, and also who is doing the coaching. Because in general, it can look like there are people who are trying to be grifters that are doing the coaching. You know what I'm saying? They want to be coaches because they don't want to have to do the content creation themselves anymore. They want to let other people do the hard work while they may reap the benefits. So that's just the appearance that it gets. I think it's not that cut and dry. I think there is a place for coaching and for mentorship and kind of even just a circle of people. Hey, let's get together. Let's talk about where you can take things to the next level, where you need to look at and be like, this is not working. How can you readjust and keep people on schedule? Because like I was saying before, as a content creator, it can be easy to look at it and be like, I didn't realize I haven't posted a TikTok in 2 weeks, right? And now all my forward momentum with that platform has been stalled because I haven't kept on track. And there's a lot of things like that can slip through the cracks as well, where something like a coaching or someone keeping you on track can be so vitally important. But yeah, there's nuance there that most people don't want to talk about, but it's easy to rail against the coaches because they just seem like they can be grifters at times, and I think that's just how sometimes they come across, and that's their own branding problems as well.
Yeah, it's also like the streaming culture. We're really going off on a tangent here, but the streaming culture, the way I've been introduced to it and constantly exposed to it through the eyes of others, is it's very DIY. If you don't DIY it, if you can't DIY everything without help, or using like watching YouTube videos that are relatively generic towards the industry in general, not towards your own experiences, then you don't have what it takes, which is gatekeeping.
100%.
So it's like, no, that's wrong. That's bullshit. That's your problem. Let other people figure it out the way they're most comfortable, which may be, hey, I would like to learn from other people. I mean, yeah, I've learned from other people.
Yeah. I think you cut out there a little bit at the end, but
more constructive but real with me. I should have done that years ago, and I knew that because I'm an athlete. I coach people.
Yep.
I'm like almost every other professional industry is okay with coaching.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway.
No, I definitely agree with you. I think it's something that we both kind of feel the same on. It's a slippery slope, like we were saying before, of people. Because it's such an easy to access industry, I feel like it's easy for people to get taken advantage of as well. That's why you see these communities where they only benefit those at the top, and everyone at the bottom is like posting their links and supporting, and everyone's like, oh, everyone lurk for the person that's at the top who's getting 100, 200, 300, 400 viewers, and then the guy at the bottom with 1 or 2 viewers is not seeing any benefit from it, but they're hopeful that they get that one raid that's going to change their life, and that one host, or that one gift sub bomb, or whatever the case may be, and that's just not realistic. And unfortunately, that's
pyramid scheme.
It's just the way it works, and unfortunately, it's far too prevalent in the industry.
Yeah. Crazy stuff, man.
Absolutely. Well, this is going to be a wild shift in tone, but we are going to talk about something that I've been dying to talk about with more people since it dropped, and that is the finale, the culmination of WandaVision, and where we see it taking the MCU going forward. Talk to me about your thoughts on the finale, what you're excited about with the MCU, all that kind of good stuff, because I've been bursting to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, WandaVision was, I mean, for me, WandaVision ended exactly how it should have, which is a good thing. And I'm saying that because a lot of people had crazy theories, mid-season, late in the season, and you know what? We let our imaginations run wild with this show, and that's a good thing. And people, I know there's people being disappointed, but those are internet trolls that yell the loudest. Forget them. I'm not saying their voices don't matter, but they are not the majority of people. That show just crushed it, and it did change the way the MCU will operate moving forward. There was a lot of strong implications for the way we're going to be dealing with magic and other things. But I mean, this show was amazing because it probably, I want to say it was really the first time the MCU has dove into something really deep in terms of a character's development. And we saw Wanda dealing with her grief through this show, and it was crazy how they did that. And the last episode, the finale, was just mind-blowing, like how it ended. And it was like just the last episode was a roller coaster for me, with everything that happened, and including the mid and end credit scene. Man. It was crazy. And the end credits, the end credit scene for me was, when you want to talk about the future of the MCU, that one was like, okay, I think there's a lot to unpack in that end credit scene, but we can talk about that. So what about you? What did you think about the finale?
I thought it was fantastic. The way Marvel is able to change pace with their different content, right? With we've seen it in the movies, right? You had the Thor movies not well received, so then you have Thor Ragnarok, which was a complete game changer, absolutely awesome shift in tone and direction. And then you come to WandaVision, right? And this is coming off of Endgame and their culmination of all their long years of storytelling. And you're exactly right. The grief that we see Wanda go through, a superhero going through all these different stages. She's got a family, and then obviously that gets ripped away from her again at the end. We think maybe White Vision is going to come to her aid, and that doesn't happen, so she has to stand on her own. It's just so much to go through, and this was the perfect start, in my opinion, to them doing their TV shows and showing that the TV shows are going to be just as instrumental in the universe and the world building as the movies are going forward. And it has me very excited about Falcon and the Winter Soldier because of that. It has me super hyped about all the future shows that come out as well. And I just think in general, it sets the stage for Wanda Scarlet Witch to be a central part of the narrative going forward in a way that even though she was super powerful in the past, now she's a focal point of the MCU, and I think that's huge going forward as well.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about it in terms of where it placed her character in the MCU in terms of like the plot of the entire fourth arc here. That's dude, wow. Now I'm gonna start to.
Well, we know she's
got more things to think about.
We know she's gonna be in the Doctor Strange movie, which is gonna be good.
Yeah.
I feel like that movie is gonna be a mind fuck. If I know it's.
It has to be. It's called Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I think that one
Did
is
I get
gonna
that backwards.
But, no, I think. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. We've got her kids, potentially like the remnants of them still in the universe somewhere.
I want to talk about that more, but go on.
Well, that's where I was gonna go next, because I feel like what it's setting up in the future, it showed Wanda being a badass, overcoming her grief, her emotions, but also showing how flawed superheroes are when they have to deal with those emotions, and how dangerous they can be if they don't come to terms with them. So that's obviously a big step, and I think we'll see more of that in the future as well. Again, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we'll probably see Bucky and Falcon clashing a little bit, dealing with their grief, having lost Cap, and having to fill those huge shoes. So, but yeah, let's jump into the end credit stuff. We've got the mid credit scene to start. That was we're gonna see probably a Captain Marvel intro. Although I wasn't sure if that was gonna go full Captain Marvel or if it was going to dig into the Secret Wars show that's coming out with Nick Fury.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I sort of felt like it was probably going to lead into Secret Wars. But yeah, the Captain Marvel thing was weird throughout the show because of the way that Monica Rambeau's character constantly was like almost like rolling her eyes every time Captain Marvel was mentioned. So they're obviously setting up some sort of tension at the very least between her and Carol Danvers. But I feel like that the mid-credit scene was probably leading into Secret Wars personally, because. Secret Wars is going to involve Skrulls, unless they completely change things up. And I'm assuming, based on what we know of the MCU, unless there's something else that happens between now and Secret Wars, it's probably going to be like rogue Skrulls that are doing bad stuff, and it's going to be this crazy, like, we don't know who's good and bad. Skrulls can look like anyone, and it's going to be a crazy mess, which I think is going to be really interesting in the way the MCU is set up now. Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty cool to see.
No, I agree. And I think where we're going to see Captain Marvel in the future is just probably facing some huge intergalactic baddies, because I feel like they've set her power level up so high that it's going to be hard for her to have like down to earth kind of tales. You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, I feel that.
Well, yeah, that's why Monica Rambeau, I hope they connect the two. And I hope we do see more crossover. Like maybe we have Captain Marvel involved in Secret War somehow, even if it's just a cameo appearance,
Mm-hmm.
so that way maybe that's how they connect the two, or link them up in some way. But for me, yeah, there's so much that can be done. I don't know where it's leading, but I'm excited, and I think Monica Rambeau is a character that could be a Valkyrie level support character. You know what I'm saying? Someone who's going to be involved in a lot of the stories going forward, and hopefully that's the case.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, based on what we saw in this show, that she will be at least at the Valkyrie level, where she'll be like a really strong supporting character that weaves stories between different movies and shows. But I feel like she could be, I mean, her power level, based on what we know from the comics, is extremely high. Like
Yeah,
she's toe to toe with Carol Danvers, and we know they've amped up Carol Danvers' power level, so to speak, for the MCU. I'm wondering if they're going to do the same with Monica, because what we've seen so far, like, she's essentially indestructible. So I'm going to say that she's going to be one of the more powerful characters in the MCU. Um, and I'm almost wondering if she'll be a strong thread between everything, and then maybe later add her own movie at some point.
very possible. They do have to worry a little bit about power creep, as we see in other universes. But yeah, I can see it, and this is where sending those kind of characters into space is so important, because you can tell all these grandiose stories that don't like destroy the earth and the feelings of like, okay, we still have people living everyday lives, you know what I'm saying? And we don't have, like, you can't have those kind of characters walking the same path as Daredevil if they reintroduce him, or characters like that, where they're a little bit more grounded in their storytelling. So I do think it's interesting, and it opens up a lot of possibilities, but not as many as the full end credit, the final scene that we saw with her, Scarlet Witch, reading the Darkhold and hearing
Oh
her son's
yeah.
voice, and oh man, that was. I wasn't expecting that, because I went in spoiler free, and when I saw that, I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be a chase for her for some time, I think."
Yeah, so that whole thing was interesting because I don't know how you were theorizing, and I don't know what sort of, theory trains that you were riding through the show, but I was on the Mephisto train,
Yeah,
like, for the entire show, even up through the end, and I feel like it was worth it, even though Mephisto didn't show up. There were so many devil allusions, the
yeah,
mentions of the devil, the hellspawn comments, demon spawns comments from fake Pietro. We call him now that we know he's Ralph Boner. Boner, I love that. It's so funny.
yeah.
But the Mephisto thing, I feel like they gave us a little bit of a nod and possible, like, wink wink in that final credit scene. So just the part where we hear the kids screaming for their mom to help, while she's, like, I don't know, like, astral projecting, I guess is what I thought it looked like. It's like what Doctor Strange does. Um, it, part of me was like, that was weird. Like, as far as we know, she created them, or the Hex created them
Yeah.
based on what she wanted or was hoping for. It was part of her perfect life. Obviously, there was something more to them throughout the show, and we were like, okay, like, they have their own powers, and it doesn't. There was a lot of questions there, and at the end, with them screaming out of the book, it started to make me think: is this how Mephisto comes in, and are they going to use the children's origin from the comics, where the two kids are parts of Mephisto's soul? Is he using them to bait her into trying to release them or free them, but in reality free him?
Yeah.
That I had that idea pop in my head when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, I was like, I think we're going to see something much bigger happen, and that was the hints right there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. For a long time during the show, I was not expectant, but I was kind of leaning a lot towards like mutant stuff. Like I know it was a heavy magic show, but I was hopeful to see more mutant stuff. I know we got the Quicksilver introduction with Evan Peters, but I knew that was a red herring. I just had a feeling that wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Even though I would love to see his character in the MCU, I just don't see it
so good,
as happening unless they have some kind of like the multiverse type of thing, and he's just in like cameos. I don't think they'll ever fully introduce him. That being said, Mephisto was something that I felt was more likely to happen rather than like Magneto showing up or someone from the Fantastic Four being one of the engineers that they were trying to call in. You know, I saw a lot of rumors about that stuff, but I kind of side with you. I think that would be a fantastic way to kick off the new Doctor Strange movie. You have Wanda accidentally opening up this portal that is supposed to bring her kids back, but actually unleashes a whole different kind of beast into the world, and that leads her and Doctor Strange to teaming up eventually after some conflict. I think that's probably the most likely way to go, but we've seen them kind of lead you down a path and then alter course just so slightly so many times in the past. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to handle it. I would love to see it personally. I think it makes the most sense as the big bad for the Doctor Strange, or even in the future maybe a mini Avengers type movie. But I don't know. There's so many questions I still have that we'll see where it goes from here. I do think it's likely though.
Yeah, and your questions, man. There's so many questions
that
are still there. Like little ones, like who was the missing persons from, like that Jimmy Woo was looking for?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. No, they do a good job of tying up a lot of things, but they just didn't have time. And I think there were some cutscenes that would have tied it even more. But yeah, there's so many questions I have as well. And I think I'm excited. Where did White Vision go? What's he going to do next? What?
Yeah. Well, I sort of saw that as he had his memories back, and all of a sudden it's like, it's like he woke up and he doesn't know where he is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think he just was like, I got to get out of here.
100%. I do wonder what his next steps are, and where are the other Avengers, the ones that knew Scarlet Witch? I know a lot of the ones that were like, Cap was pretty close to her, and he's obviously gone. But the fact that she was kind of left on her own, I think is going to be very telling as well of what happens with all the other characters going forward as well, because I think everyone's going to be pulled in so many different directions. Eventually it'll be interesting to see what brings them back together, because we haven't got our last Avengers movie, even if it's a Secret Avengers or something like that, not a full Avengers, but I don't know. I'm very interested. All the possibilities that are absolutely endless with this right now. And again, I go back to the fact that this type of show, feeling and acting so different than what we would have expected previously, bodes so well for the future of the shows in general, because I think one of the problems with the Netflix shows is I really loved Daredevil. I thought Jessica Jones was interesting because it was different, but at the end of the day, it did feel a little repetitive once you got to Luke Cage and especially Iron Fist, because they were doing relatively the same grounded, fight these enemies, you know what I'm saying, go through this downturn and then upturn. Like, all the shows felt like they were similarly produced, There
was a grittiness to them that was similar in all the shows, for sure. I noticed that.
And so because they felt so similar, none of them after Daredevil and then maybe the first Jessica Jones really had a chance to stand out. Like, you didn't dive into the mystical with Iron Fist that you should have, right? You didn't bring Luke Cage's some other. I mean, he had some good storytelling. He had one of the best villains besides Fisk, or with but that villain was killed off in the first half a season of the first half season. So I don't know.
Right.
I think it's very exciting for the future. Obviously, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be very different. Loki's going to be very different. So, yeah, I don't know. Where this goes from now, I have no idea. But now I can't wait to see Black Widow too, because obviously that's going to be a tale from the past, but that's going to be opening up a lot of future possibilities as well with other potential either Black Widow characters or characters that we might see in the future of the MCU from her past, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally makes sense. And I was trying to theorize about what Black Widow is going to do for the MCU moving forward, despite the fact that everything we know about the movie puts it in the past. That's I think that's again another good change of pace for the MCU, and I'm really interested in what they do there. And remember that the WandaVision, just to not trying to switch gears too much, but WandaVision, was supposed to come fourth in the Phase 4 lineup. So, the things like the fake Pietro being in there, I think would have been more obviously a red herring if we had already seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Black Widow, and the Eternals before WandaVision, like it had originally been planned. And we know that they were working on post-production on WandaVision up until like 2 weeks before the premiere. Not premiere, the finale. Based on an interview done with the series director, that was something they had been working on until 2 weeks before for that finale. So, everything was still carefully planned, but they definitely had to switch some things up, including like I think Wanda's like final dialogue lines in the town before she flies off. Like those were changed a bit, I'm pretty sure, beforehand. So like they definitely made some changes to WandaVision so it would work better as the first installment. So that's something to think about there. Back to Black Widow, I think that Black Widow almost has to have some sort of ending, not like an ending quarter of the movie, but ending scene or like sub act to the movie, not just end credits, but something that's going to tie it into modern times in the MCU, which is, I think, 2 years ahead of where we're at in the real world. So
yeah,
I think that's going to be something I would expect. I'm curious what that is, though. I heard some things that people are thinking that mutants may be introduced there, but I'm expecting it in Eternals, honestly. Eternals, the storyline that we already know of that definitely should be covered, should mention or somehow explain the introduction of mutants into the MCU.
Yeah, every new thing that comes out, whether it's TV or movies, I think folks are going to look for, is this where mutants are coming in? Is this where the Fantastic Four is coming in? Is this where, you know what I'm saying, all these things that we know are coming to the MCU, is this where they're finally going to be introduced? And I think that's very funny to me that's what everyone's kind of thinking about. We're going to see that talk with the Eternals. We're going to see it with the Doctor Strange movie because it's got the multiverse in the title. We're going to see it with Black Widow. There's so many times where this is going to continue to pop up. Oh, is Magneto going to show up in WandaVision? I know I saw some theories about that, which were kind of crazy, but I think overall...
I'm with you.
I think overall, we're still a ways away. Although there has been a tease of the mutants being the first movie with starring the X-Men, which is interesting. That's a throwback to Stan Lee, what he wanted to call them from the beginning, the X-Men. So
yeah, that would make sense. Here's something that I was just thinking while I was listening to you. I think the first time we see mutants in a show or a movie, we're going to know it before we see the show or movie. It's going to be obvious.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's such a big thing. They're not just going to throw it in there as a little ooh, maybe as like an end credit, we'll be like, but I think we're already gonna know that we're getting the movie or the show that they really get introduced in, and
Yeah.
then yeah, we're gonna get some teases in like an end credit scene or something. But
Yeah.
like it, like not like, in retrospect, yeah, we weren't gonna see Pietro in WandaVision, and it's gonna be, oh my God, mutants. It's like no, the explanation that we got was it was a red
Exactly.
herring. It was like a joke almost, and it just was, the timing of it just ended up not being the greatest because of what happened with COVID. So
No, exactly. And that's one of the things that's going to be funny to me because I think they're going to continue to tease us with things like Pietro. I have absolutely no doubt that we're gonna see some
nah,
things that you're gonna be like, oh, everyone's gonna talk about this. It's gonna be mutants, and then when it comes around, you're like, oh, well, of course that it was never gonna be mutants because it doesn't make any sense to introduce them like that. But you still get people's hopes up just a little bit because you get folks talking about it and getting excited, and the more people who are theory crafting and going over this, that, and the other thing, the better it is for the shows and the movies. So I don't blame them
yeah.
for doing that. But yeah, I'm with you that when the time is right, we'll know about it and we'll know what's coming.
Yeah, and if they did something like that with everything this show did and accomplished, I think it would have taken away too much from the show. What it was supposed to be about, and what it was supposed to mean for the MCU, which is introducing magic,
Yeah.
and going through Wanda's grief and introducing you to her character. Because really, this was the first time you spent a lot of time with her character learning about it.
Exactly. And
So this show was about her.
yeah, absolutely. I think it was the right way to do it. And I just think people let their finish. We see the same thing in gaming and everything where everyone starts theory crafting and their brain goes way farther than is realistically possible. So,
Yeah.
what is the most exciting future show that you're looking forward to? What's the most exciting movie that you're looking forward to that's coming out now that we've kind of set the groundwork with WandaVision?
So this is going to be an oddball, but for show, think I'm most excited to see She-Hulk because it's something that's sort of new to me. She-Hulk wasn't really a character I read growing up.
Yeah.
I think I just missed it, like in the age and years that I was reading, and the character never really showed up either. So I just want to see something new, and I feel like She-Hulk may be like something that's really off pace in again a refreshing way. So that's the show I'm most interested in. But I mean, it's hard for me to say that because I'm really interested in all of them. I just want
Yeah.
to see them all, and I'm super excited for them all. Movie wise, that one is a tough one because it's like I'm really into the shows right now after WandaVision, so I haven't even thought about the movies. But I would say getting past the first couple, which is going to be Black Widow, the next Doctor Strange, and the next Spider-Man, I believe, or maybe Eternals is in there before Spider-Man. But after those, I think, man, I really want to see the next Thor
Yeah.
because Thor Ragnarok for me was just like, that was the first time I had been to a Marvel movie, and I'd seen literally all of the Marvel movies in the theater, a bunch of them multiple times. And the time I went to go see Thor Ragnarok, it was like the closest I had gotten to feeling like I had seen the first one. Like when I saw Iron Man 1 and I started to be like, "Oh my God, this is like the start of something. This is amazing." Didn't expect it. When I went to see Thor Ragnarok in the theater, like opening weekend, not really knowing what to expect out of it, I was like blown away, and it felt like a new start. I don't know if anyone else was like really on the Thor Ragnarok train. I know it's like one of the more popular movies, so hopefully a lot of people loved it because I loved it.
Yeah.
But man, like Thor: Love and Thunder. Now I'm really excited for Thor movies. It's like that's crazy because the first two were very blah. They were just very meh. There wasn't anything that I was like, hey, this is a Marvel movie. Glad I saw it. But I do not go scrambling to see the original Thor. I don't pop in, Dark World just to watch in my spare time if I'm bored and need to watch a movie or something, But Thor Ragnarok, when I was like working a job, and I got the luxury of working from home, I would pop on Thor Ragnarok in the background. I must have watched that movie 100 times.
Yeah.
Literally, I've watched that movie the most out of any other MCU movie. So yeah, I'm going to go Thor: Love and Thunder is the one I'm most excited about because I would love to have that feeling again in that Taika Waititi universe. Freaking awesome.
So the funny thing is, I'm with you on Thor Ragnarok. I think Thor 1 is super important for setting a lot of groundwork with Thor, with Loki, introducing Loki especially into the universe. He's been such an integral part. Thor 2, I think, is kind of one of the most blah of the MCU movies in its entirety.
Yeah.
But Thor Ragnarok was an absolute game changer. I thought the lightheartedness was so important because I like the serious tone in certain movies, whether it's Captain America, some of those movies that are a little bit more gritty and serious. But in the Thor movies, it just works so much better having a lighthearted tone with still some serious consequences. And so I'm with you on that as far as where that's going to go. Now, my choices for what I'm most looking forward to are going to be a little bit oddball as well. Falcon and the Winter Soldier has me so hyped, but I feel like the Hawkeye and Kate Bishop story is going to be one that is going to be very important for the future of the MCU and setting up Kate Bishop as a hero who can kind of level the playing field with like Hawkeye, only on a higher level. You know what I'm saying? I think she's going to be more important than the original Hawkeye once she takes his place. And this is just kind of theorizing from me. But,
yeah, I got you.
But I just feel like Hawkeye has been kind of in the background a lot. He's been a support character pretty much all the time. But a show like this could propel her into the status that he could have had if he had his own show back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And I think this will be a true passing of the torch. It'll probably be, if not the last time we see Hawkeye in the universe, the last major role he plays for some time. You know what I'm saying? And he could retire completely. I know they've talked about him retiring in universe for a while. So I'm very excited about that because I feel like we've seen the mystical now with WandaVision. Loki will probably be more of the same with that. Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be down to earth, but I really want to see that. And obviously, I think Miss Marvel will be good too. But, I mean, I've played the Marvel's Avengers video game, and that Miss Marvel is very, very good. So I want to see how that compares as well.
I hate how disappointing that game is as a game, but they do really good with the characters in that game, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as far as movie goes, I really like the Spider-Man movies, but I can't say... I just don't know what to expect with the new one. Everyone's talking about the old Spider-Man's coming back, and I feel like with the amount of people that are supposed to be in that movie, it's going to be really convoluted. So for me, it's got to be the Eternals because the cast is stellar, and it's such an unknown, and I feel like it's going to be so different from what we've seen. Like, so there was I don't know if you saw the show. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on what their name is. It's got Black Bolt. It's got the Inhumans. That show was such a bust.
I didn't watch it actually.
I watched a little bit of it. The actors were good, but the show itself was not great. And I'm hopeful that the Eternals is what Inhumans should have been.
I'm sure it will be. I bet you it's going to be something like that. Which begs the question, this is as much as I am into the MCU and such, are Inhumans just like essentially written off right now? Because I don't believe Runaways and Agents of Shield are canon in the MCU anymore.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, and I don't know how they're gonna reconcile that, or if they're just gonna pretend they don't exist now that they have everything in house. But that must be what they're probably gonna do, and hopefully that allows them to redo the Inhumans and reintroduce them in the future, and just pretend like the old one just didn't exist because it just didn't flop, and then now you have kind of a one concise direction for that.
Yeah, I feel like they can do that, and I'm fine with that. I guess it
100%.
just needs to be. I think they're going to need to communicate that directly with the viewers so that we know for sure. And I think one good way to do that is to, not just directly communicate saying, "Hey, we're going to move past the events of Agents of Shield," because the little I know about the second half of Agents of Shield, because I only watched like the first few seasons,
it got crazy.
And then I sort of trailed off. Yeah. I know there was time travel involved and other things, so a lot of the events didn't happen in the timeline of the MCU.
Exactly.
So, from what I understand, they can literally ignore a lot of it.
Yeah,
like it never happened.
I really liked Agents of Shield. I really loved when it was focused around Daisy, around Ghost Rider. Right. Some of those stories I thought were very, very good, and I'm disappointed that we won't see more of them. Hopefully they bring her back bring Quake back into the universe somehow, because I thought that actress was phenomenal. Maybe Ghost Rider as well they introduced somehow, but other than that, yeah, the last couple seasons got real weird. Too much Coulson still being around, even though he was dead multiple times and all that kind of stuff. Ultimately, I think it got too convoluted, and that's what happens when you have almost the free reign they had, not under the supervision of the Marvel Universe, because they didn't get any information. So they had the blip happen, right? Where they were still filming their show, but they didn't know what the result of the blip, how Endgame was going to turn out. So that's why they went with the time travel route, and it kind of messed everything up, and it made things real weird. So, unfortunately, that is, I think, what we're gonna see. Even the Defender shows, I don't know what they're gonna do as far as what's canon and what's not within those. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, I don't know. I'd love to see. I think Charlie Cox's Daredevil was phenomenal. So I'd love to see that Fisk back. Would be amazing. He was one of my favorite villains in all the Marvel stuff. So.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, obviously that actor that plays Fisk was, he's phenomenal. So yeah, I could see them bringing back Daredevil. And the events of the Defenders shows, I think, I would say they can remain canon because they weren't very impactful outside of that like local area of New York that they were in. So they could probably just like ignore it, but still say it's canon.
And you could always retcon a little bit.
Yeah, Charlie Cox coming back maybe to help out Spider-Man, at least in the just as like a second character, supporting in some way. I could see that being useful and obviously they're not going to do it if it doesn't feel right, but I know if they do, it would be awesome because Charlie Cox was really, really good as Daredevil, and that was the show out of those four. So
I thought,
at least in my opinion,
Jessica Jones was good too, but a lot of that was also helped by Kilgrave was a fantastic villain, and I liked that show because it felt very different. It felt like kind of almost like a thriller at times instead of like a straight up action show. So so it was very unique. That's why I like it, and I like when they can bring unique stuff. But I think that's gonna do for our MCU stuff. I know we talked quite a bit, but it's always nice to have a fellow Marvel fan on, so I can really dive in and get excited about theory crafting and talking about the past, the present, and the future of the universe. But moving on from that, you, my friend, have just started really diving into Apex. And this is a game that I played from day one. I know a lot of people didn't jump on the train, especially we've seen a lot of Destiny players now hopping on to Apex. And I felt like I've always felt like it was a natural fit because it's a BR with like focus on movement and abilities and such. And the shooting feels really good. What drew you to Apex? What has you excited about it now? And what has you looking forward to the game in the future?
So I think it's what you said, to be honest. And I know not to be a cop out, but I think it's literally like the fact that it's a movement ability, a movement based ability augmented BR is the way I view it, where abilities they're not super dominant, but they can make or break if you know how to use them correctly. And yeah, originally I wasn't really into it because I either sucked. I think it was a combination of the fact that I sucked and I was so used to playing like PUBG and Fortnite had become a meme. And I was like, nah, I just want to play a BR. If I play a BR, I just want to shoot things, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted the survival aspect. And that's the way I rolled with BRs for a while. And I sort of fell out of love with them. Blackout didn't really, hit all of the right, check all the right boxes, I should say. And,
yeah, we played some of that back in the day.
Yeah, that felt like it was a great start, and it was a really good template to bring Warzone into reality. And Warzone was really great for a while until more recently, and I just can't have fun in that game anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got you.
And Apex, though, I decided to start playing Apex because I just needed something. Destiny, I burn out on Destiny if I play it too much. Division doesn't really hold my attention. And, I mean, for better or for worse, when you play Division now, with their season model, Division is like, you can just blow through it super quick. Finish your season pass, finish the season content or whatever's going on, and then you can move on to another game, which I like. So Apex, for me, it's fast-paced, so I can get in and out of matches quick. The abilities are fun, but they're not overpowered, and all of the characters feel pretty unique. So when I got into it, the very end of last season, I was like, wow, it's like I hated this game when I first played it, but now that I've like grown into liking different games or needing a different game to give myself a break from Destiny, like this is now like it's exactly what I wanted. And I think it was also a matter of me being better at games.
Yeah.
Because I think I originally played it with you when it first came out. Like when it first came out, I'm pretty sure I have it on PlayStation still. We teamed up for like 1 or 2 matches in that first season, and you were really digging it, and I played it, and I was like, eh. I think we even won a match, and I was still like, eh. And I never played it again. And now I'm like, yeah, Apex, let's go, ranked, baby.
It's funny because for me personally, right, I have played Apex and Warzone from the jump, both of them. And for me right now, Warzone feels a little bit better just because I'm a variety guy. I like to play a lot of different things. So when I jump back into Warzone, for whatever reason, I can drop my same amount of kills, a little bit more, a little bit less. I can still play the same way. Whereas Apex, it feels like, I don't know if it's the skill-based matchmaking or what's the case, but I jump back in and one of two things happens. One, everyone's cracked and sliding around, moving in a way I can't compete because I don't play the game exclusively. Or I play a game and the pacing is just a little bit off. Warzone, I can go find UAVs. I can, I have my heartbeat. I can find I can go find new fights. Apex is like, there's a couple third-party fights, and then there's 3 teams left, and I'm wondering where the whole lobby went. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that's a little bit frustrating for me. I still play it all the time. I still play all the events. I I'm also more likely to play Warzone with randoms because I feel like the randoms in Apex just tend to do all kinds of weird stuff. You know, it's different
They do
in ranked.
exactly what you expect a random to do.
Yeah, it's different in ranked. So I tend to play more solo ranked than I do solo pubs, because players actually seem to care about placement and kills
Right.
and all that stuff. So I do like the fact that they have ranked is the one reason that I like to go back into Apex more than Warzone at times. But yeah, the characters are great. I love trying out the new characters every season that another one comes out, and I love the abilities. I love being able to get a team wipe with my Gibraltar bombardment or something like that.
Yeah.
When I've outsmarted them and pinned them in a place where they can't leave, and now all of a sudden I'm just dropping bombs on their head, or I force them to run away from my bombardment and they're easy pickings. Stuff like that is a lot of fun. So I'm with you. I think it's the same thing that happens. I played that game a lot more than I played Warzone initially. And I played it a lot, so I do think burnout happened a little bit, but it is a nice supplementary game so long as I'm not playing G Fuel snorting gamers.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah, I think that because of the faster pace of it compared to Warzone, I think that's why it feels a little bit like you're a fish out of water if you haven't played it
Yeah.
like within the last like hour. You got to be like warmed up. Like Warzone, yeah. I remember I could drop in and sometimes my best game of the session with Warzone was my first one or second one.
Yeah.
And it'd almost be better to be fresh. With Apex, I feel like oh, gonna go play ranked with some people. All right, let's drop into some pubs, do one or two, get warmed up, and then go up. Like you don't warm up with Warzone, you play,
Exactly. And that's, again, for somebody who like, I can stream for 6 hours and play 3 different games. I don't do that all the time, obviously, but it's because I'm like that. I'm down to one character on Destiny only, unless I absolutely really want to do something with it with either my hunter or my warlock. I play Apex with friends because I have a lot of friends who prefer it over Warzone. But Warzone just feels so much easier to just drop in and drop out of that. I think that's why I just prefer it just a little bit, but it's so close, and I feel like we're in a good spot with BRs in general. We just need one more, like a Halo BR or something like that, to kind of it's gotten a little stagnant, so something to have all of them elevate their game again and draw the attention. That was when Apex dropped, it was a stealth drop out of nowhere, and it completely changed the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that it was, I mean, it's not as popular as it was at its height, but it's still pretty popular.
Yeah.
And I do remember it being like, wow. I felt like I was the only one not playing it for a little while, which is why I did give it a try. And I'm glad I did. But yeah, I feel like now is the right time for me to play it. And it just, it scratches the itch now.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Halo BR thing, though. I keep my brain's thinking about that. I haven't even thought about BRs, what BRs really need, what would be effective in the marketplace right now.
Yeah.
So I'd have to think. I really would want to think about that before I would comment. But, one thing I had thought about that's similar to the BR genre is like the survival genre.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see what's the game that everyone Tarkov. I want to play Tarkov, and really badly, but I'm not really a mouse and keyboard player. I wish they had that. I just wish they had that game. That as far as I know, you can't play it with a controller. I am a controller player. I wish that games like that, were good with a controller. So
yeah, the inventory management I think can be really tough. I'm with you though. I hope we see growth in the survival genre personally as well, because Tarkov is an interesting example. It's one that because I do variety, I probably could not get into because it's such a time sink to really improve and play, and get
seems
better.
like it. Yeah.
But I remember talking about the Division. Their survival what was that? Was it called
It
Survival?
was called
It's called Survival. Yeah.
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah.
What that I thought that was a really interesting concept at the time, and it was really
It's
fun.
people. I'm pretty sure people still log in to play Survival.
Yeah, it was such a great idea, and if it was a standalone, like a standalone free to play game or something like that, it probably would have been a big hit. You know, and I think the two things keeping it back is not everybody likes the third person aspect of and the cover shooting of the Division. So if we could get a first person survival type game like that and controller support, all that kind of good stuff, I think it'd be huge. And I'm with you. I mentioned the Halo BR because there have been heavy rumors around it being a thing that's definitely happening. So I just think another innovative BR to elevate or completely alter the genre and show that we can do it. Because I think BRs are here to stay. They're just a different form of multiplayer.
Definitely. Yeah.
I would just love to see someone innovate in the way that we've seen. Like Gulag and buybacks in Warzone. Those were huge for even Apex. You couldn't bring your teammates back. Or you could bring your teammates back, but they had like the restrictions and stuff. Now you've got mobile respawns. So continuing to innovate and make it so players you don't die and then you're leaving the game because you're out, right? I know Fortnite was like that back in the day too. So I want to see more innovation, and it's something like I've tried the new ones that have come out, like Spellbreak, like Hyperscape, and none of them have really hit the same notes. So I'm hopeful that we see a little bit more innovation from that. And if we could get a survival, I know there's a survival game called Vigor that has control.
I haven't heard of that.
It has controller support. It's free to play on PlayStation, but I think it's also on PC as well.
Okay.
And it's less intense than Tarkov. It might be a good way to dip your toes in and check it out.
I'll check that out for sure, man. Vigor,
yep.
Cool. I'm gonna check it out.
I had some friends playing it. It looks interesting, but again, those games are hard because they're time sinks, and it's like I know I gotta be like, okay, this is gonna be a week where I don't have anything new releasing in the games that I play, so I have a full week to dedicate and dive in. Because if I just played a couple times and I don't like it, then I'll probably give up before I give it a fair chance, and I want to try to avoid doing that.
Cool.
All right, man.
That makes got it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. We've gone over an hour by a little bit, but it's no big deal. I love talking to you, man. We should definitely do it more often. We have a lot of the same interests. We've played a lot of the same games, MCU, all that kind of stuff, industry talk. I do appreciate you coming on and hanging out. Once again, where can folks find you on Twitter? And can you give us a little teaser on what they should look forward with you in the future?
Yeah. So you can find me on Twitter at OffRoadJordan. No underscores or anything. Jordan spelled Jordan. And so traditionally, a lot of people know me as Destiny streamer. I've done a lot of podcasts. I've been on Planet Destiny and things like that. Had a great experience doing that. Currently on hiatus and rebranding more as myself. And if you don't know about me, I'll give you a little teaser. I am a former professional mountain biker who has spent a lot of my life in the saddle, on the road, traveling, racing. Like I said, I did it professionally, full time for a bit. And I would like to sort of take what I call my old life as a cyclist and my newer life and I maybe like passions and hobbies for gaming and content creation, whether it be live stream, YouTube type stuff or whatever. And sort of I want to marry the two together. So what I'm working on and what I'm developing is a brand that does that. So the catchphrase I've been using that sort of I don't know if I'm going to use it officially or not, but it's bringing the outside inside to those people that I've met through gaming and content creation that have an interest in being outdoors, but maybe need a little bit of kick in the butt, need some guidance. And I want to be that guidance. I want to be that not necessarily guidance, maybe inspiration would be the better word.
Yeah.
I want to be the inspiration to bring people into the outdoors, get them hyped up on experiencing local trails and local outdoor activities that they can do easily, and yeah, just like teach people about those things, and then introduce other aspects that I'm interested in and knowledgeable in, like fitness and health and mindset and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm a big fan of that. I've been playing sports my whole life, so I think more of that should be encouraged. And I'm definitely looking forward to the full rebrand coming out with all the content in the future, because I know it's going to be fantastic. Thank you so much for being on once again. And
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
No problem at all. For those listening at home, thank you so much for tuning in, stopping by, and hanging out. As always, make sure you hit that heart button, like, subscribe, comment, whatever platform you're on. Definitely do that. It helps me out tremendously. My name is JoPaWrites, and I'll catch you all later.